A fourth Back to the Future movie is a terrible idea despite there still being immense interest in the franchise. Back to the Future's most iconic scenes remain deeply embedded in popular culture, and the series is still regarded as an all-time great movie trilogy. This enduring legacy has naturally led to ongoing speculation about whether Back to the Future 4 will happen, especially in an era where many popular franchises are revived after years of dormancy. Beyond the numerous movies and shows ripping off Back to the Future, the franchise has continued since the third installment was released in 1990. An animated Back to the Future television series aired for 2 seasons in the early 1990s, which features the time-traveling adventures of Doc Emmett Brown and his family after Back to the Future Part 3. There is also a Back to the Future musical that has been performed in the West End and on Broadway. Despite these continuations, a Back to the Future 4 movie is not an idea that should be pursued. 5. Michael J. Fox would be very unlikely to star in a fourth Back to the Future movie. He is now retired from acting due to Parkinson's disease. Due to Michael J. Fox's Parkinson's disease, it is highly unlikely that he would be able to reprise his role as Marty McFly in Back to the Future 4. As per the Michael J. Fox Research Foundation, Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 1991 at 29 years old, and continued to act for many years to come. However, Fox has now fully retired from acting due to the impact of his Parkinson's symptoms, which have made it difficult for him to remember lines and had an effect on the way he speaks. Without Fox playing Marty, Back to the Future 4 would only be disappointing, even if Christopher Lloyd reprised his role as Doc Brown. Marty and Doc Brown are the heart of the Back to the Future movies, with Fox and Lloyd having a dynamic that cannot be replaced by any other actors. While a fourth movie could hypothetically happen without Marty or Doc Brown, their absences would make it difficult, if not impossible, for the story to be distinct from other time travel narratives. 4. Back to the Future 4 couldn't possibly recreate the original trilogy's timeless appeal. The timelessness is integral to the trilogy's legacy. One of the main reasons the Back to the Future movies remain popular is because of their timeless appeal. Marty and Doc Brown are delightfully charming characters, and, even after many rewatches, it is still equally entertaining and rewarding to see their journeys unfold throughout the 3 movies. It never gets old to see them in various time periods where they try to fix their mistakes, and they learn valuable lessons about themselves and the people around them. Even with a version of 2015 that is far different from reality, the trilogy overall does not feel outdated, and is timeless because of how it prioritizes its characters and themes. While Back to the Future 4 could attempt to follow suit, it would not be able to feel as timeless. There would be too many intrinsic differences from the movies released between 1985 to 1990, which would prevent Back to the Future 4 from being a timeless extension of the trilogy. 3. Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale are adamantly against Back to the Future 4. They have done everything in their power to stop it from happening. Back to the Future creators Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale have repeatedly spoken about why they do not want a fourth movie to happen. Beyond being opposed to Back to the Future 4, Zemeckis and Gale own the rights, and have been adamant that as long as they are alive, they will prevent a Back to the Future reboot or sequel from happening. Given this, any sequel would feel incredibly disrespectful to the franchise's creators and everything they have contributed to it. Zemeckis' only interest in another Back to the Future movie is the idea of directing a cinematic adaptation of the stage musical, but this is entirely different from Back to the Future 4. There is arguably nobody who understands and respects the franchise more than Zemeckis and Gale. A sequel without Zemeckis and Gale's involvement or blessing would feel inherently wrong, even if the studios or creative team behind it have good intentions. 2. Back to the Future Part 3 already has a perfect ending. There is no need to interfere with perfection. Back to the Future 4 would be a more compelling idea if the last movie ended on a cliffhanger or in a way that felt unresolved. This is not the case, as Back to the Future Part 3 has a perfect and satisfying ending. Doc Brown has a family with Clara Clayton, Mary Steenburgen, and Doc helps Marty and his girlfriend Jennifer, Elizabeth Shue, realize that their future has not been written yet, and they have the power to shape what happens to them. All the problems created by Marty and Doc Brown's time travel have been fixed, and the trilogy ends with an empowering message. There is no need for a fourth movie to potentially undermine or tarnish this conclusion. Without any lingering storylines and with the themes clearly communicated, there is no need for further exploration. Those interested in seeing what happens next with Doc Brown and his family can watch the animated series. 1. A fourth movie would have impossibly high expectations. Audiences wouldn't give it a fair chance. After 35 years, expectations for Back to the Future 4 would be impossible to satisfy. There is nothing that the franchise could do to live up to its predecessors and to please 3.5 decades of fans' ideas about where the story should go next. This is an issue that other franchises have faced when releasing a revival decades later. The expectations for Back to the Future would be higher than the expectations ever were for any of the 3 previous movies. With such pressure surrounding the project, it would never have a chance to thrive. There are already 3 highly enjoyable Back to the Future movies, and there does not need to be a 4th one that would inevitably crumble beneath unrealistic expectations.